whatever.
Bro, this screen. Oh, look at that. Sam is recording the
All
call.
right, guys. Legally, I have to tell you that we are recording.
That's how we don't record.
It just leaves.
I can't do anything legal or illegal. Or are you?
All right, so what is
Oh,
this?
man.
What is this? Is this like Talkies like network podcast like one reboot?
I think we always called it the Talkies podcast, right?
I think so, but like we can come up with a new name. I was experimenting with when I was writing the menu bar earlier. I wrote talking about some and.
All right, why doesn't everyone introduce themselves and like what your role is?
Wow, Artur, do you want to go first?
I was gonna say, might as well let editor-in-chief go first.
Oh, wow, look at that. My name's Nick Pulmanakos, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Talkies Network.
My name.
What a title.
I know, right? It's so powerful. My name's Artur Galvao. Sounds so weird to say it in English.
Isn't it?
A little bit. And I'm the managing editor for the site.
All right, and I'm Sam, and I'm just here to have a good time.
That's what I like to hear. I'm here to have a good time.
So, what I wanted to do with this first one, we don't have Matthew because he's working today.
Unfortunately.
Do you refer to him as Matthew or JJ?
He's never Matthew to me.
He's always JJ, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get him on.
Professionally, he's Matthew.
Professionally, okay, but hold on. Do you ever know why he actually wanted to change it?
No.
Like
we originally had him as JJ on the site, but I ended up signing him up for a press screening as JJ. And he went up to Universal and he was like, "Hi, I'm here to check in. My name's Matthew." And they're like, "You're not on the list." And he goes, "What are you talking about? Like Talkies Network?" And I'm like, and he goes, "I'm on the list." And she goes, "There's nobody on the list with the name Matthew with one T." And he goes like this, "Is a JJ on the list?" And she goes, "Oh my God, JJ, it's right here." And he calls me immediately after and he's like, "Stop putting JJ as my sign up name." Man. I'm like, no.
We have to get him on.
Getting JJ on Skype calls or gaming videos was like the funniest thing ever because he was never available.
I know, man. He's working too.
As the senior editor, you would think.
Well,
that's my introduction for JJ. He's the senior editor.
Yeah.
All right. So what I wanted to do for this first one is talk about the conception of the Talkies website. So like, how did it come to be? Like, talk about like the early days and like how it's got to right now.
Artur, you want to take that?
I'll fully take this one. So the concept of Talkies Network started with me wanting to create a YouTube channel. And then Nick already had his own website at the time. It was called Nick's Cinematic World. I think it was a heaping pile of shit. Nick, I'm sorry. Your website looked bad. Like we used the same, like the very.
See how I just left the call? Like, I don't understand. This became the Nick Hit Variety Hour. Like,
so then I told him, I was like, well, like I always wanted to do a YouTube channel. You already have a website. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if we can upload videos and content to YouTube, but then always have a website that people can always, come back to for extra content? And that's where articles started, coming into play. So Nick already had a bunch of his articles already from his previous site that we migrated over. I think your most popular one was...
No. You burned it to the ground, were your exact words.
Yeah, we burnt his website to the ground. But I think our first big article was top 10 directors for the Matt Reeves that was eventually became Matt Reeves for the Batman.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was who should direct the Batman, and I think I remember putting Nolan on that list.
You did. You put Nolan at 3, I believe, but you put Reeves at 1.
I put Nolan. Yeah, I put Reeves at 1, and I was like, this is gonna be because Reeves was already a rumored choice, but nothing was confirmed. So I was just like, no, Reeves would be the best call. Like,
you had that hot take.
I had the hot take. I'm kind of an ace reporter, if I do say so myself.
when was that? So when did you have Nick's Cinematic World? Were we in first year?
Yeah, this was first
2015.
year, and it was okay. Here's the thing. Nick's Cinematic World started for two reasons. One, stressed out from school and needed an outlet to just chill out. And two, I really wanted to write a review for Suicide Squad because I saw like all the negative press it was getting. And I watched the movie and I was like, this is the best DC movie ever. So I created this. Okay, truth be told, the original name was Nick Reviews Movies,
Okay.
and I had registered that on WordPress, and then I immediately deleted it because I hated it. And I was like, I
And
can't
Nick's
use
Cinematic World was better, right?
I liked NCW. I kind of liked that like acronym
Okay.
or the whatever that is. Is that
Yeah.
what an acronym is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so I created the site in like August, I think, like the day after, like 2 days after I watched Suicide Squad, I wrote that review, which is an absolute dog shit review. Like I look back on it and I'm like, it's actually no, like I dedicated a whole paragraph to how like breathtaking Leto was, like as the Joker. I'm telling you, go read it. It's still
Oh,
up on the site as the first post ever.
it is. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And so I tried to like bust out an article every month, just again, just to chill out, but I'd always just to try and see like what was happening. So I think the second article came like not even 1 month, but 2 months later after the first Logan trailer dropped. And I was like, reasons why Logan's gonna be the best X-Men movie ever, right? And then it was Doctor Strange and then Fantastic Beasts and then two top tens and then the Batman one. And the Batman one caught fire. That one caught fire, got like 100 views or something,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's when you came to me because then you were just like, why don't we do something? And I'm like, I kind of got my own thing. I don't need you.
You and
Like,
Arturo.
yeah.
Yeah,
I had known
because
you for this was no, so sorry. So this was going into second year, I guess, right?
Yeah,
This
because
is
I met you
2017.
and we talked about movies. I didn't know about Nick's Cinematic Universe
It came after the exam. I remember.
because me and you we had economics together, and I remember walking from I think it was either class or the exam to the subway, and we were talking about I don't know if you remember we were talking about like movies and like what we
Yeah.
want to do after university.
Yeah, no, because you had your YouTube channel back then.
That's true.
Sorry, let me expose you for a minute. Sam had a pretty sick YouTube channel, actually,
I
like
was
back in
telling
the day.
Arturo, and by the way, I don't know if you know this. I think this is only like the second time I've ever talked to Arturo,
I
but
did try and get him to talk to you for like, I don't know, months.
I didn't want to talk to him. That's why.
I
it's
know.
it's
Look at
okay.
those
I think the
glasses,
stars
eh?
aligned because we had like because we were supposed to call right now. It's what? It's like it's almost 2. It's 1:30. We're supposed to call at 10:30, then 11:30, then 12:30, and now we're here.
Sorry.
But for that whole time, me and Arturo were actually on the call, just getting to know each other. So that's how
Yeah.
like I wanted to ask about all this sort of stuff because he was gonna go into it, but I said no, leave it for the
Save
podcast.
it. I
Yeah,
want the other guy.
Um, Something else that's kind of interesting because like the site was born on in February,
Mhm.
and for that entire December-esque period of exams up until the new year, I remember me and Nick being more engaged in the website than we were in our exams. So we're like, well, wait a minute,
That
like
was a bad exam period.
we don't know how to like design, like we don't know how to do any of this. Like, yeah, we can like use a template to go into a website and then write our opinions, but like, how do we personalize it? And then that's how JJ came into the fold because he's a pretty good artist. If you guys ever have a chance to like see any of his kind of drawings, but we kind of like in my head, I thought he was being brought on to design like a logo, and then that's
That
it.
was the original idea.
Yeah, it was just
We
like, hey,
asked
let's get.
JG to just draw some stuff for us because I wanted a banner. I still want a banner. Like, I want no,
3
because
years later,
this was the
still want a
thing.
banner.
Originally, we came up with the idea for a banner, which was it was going to be a film roll and then 3 drawings of us, like
Mhm.
like me, Artur, and JJ.
So
Like,
it was our old YouTube banner. Sam
yeah.
got to see.
Mhm.
And originally we wanted to draw the film banner, but then we were all kind of like, ah, this is gonna suck. So then we ended up pulling one off of Google and like altering it a bit. And then JJ and Athon.
Wow.
JJ and Athon edited the banner, and then me and you were just kind of like, "Wow, that looks so good! Like, way to go, guys!" Like, because I couldn't remember how to use like Photoshop that much, but both of them did.
Mm-hmm.
So they were cutting and putting this film roll together with these like little drawings of us. And then I think my only contribution was like a pixelated version, like a pixel fonted version of Talkies Network.
Is that what became
Yeah.
the YouTube banner?
That's the
Yep.
YouTube banner.
We were just talking. We probably spent about half an hour talking about how we need to get rid of that.
Hate that banner, man. Yeah, I can't like it like I didn't hate the banner. Like it was a simple banner. The
Mhm.
thing was, hold on, I'm jumping here because the name
Yeah.
couldn't
Nick.
figure out a name.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Oh
at
yeah, that's
least
right. It took a
here's the
while to
thing.
pick up the name.
I really didn't like the Talkies name. Like
So why'd you go with it?
cuz he kept pushing it. And he loved this name, but me and JJ were very apprehensive about it because I was like, Talkies, that's a movie. Like, but
Kind of movie.
like over time, I kind of started like, you know what, there's always something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kept pushing, and I'm like, you know what, that's a good idea. Like like in the end, I really liked the name. The thing is it's like the network part was always like
Yeah.
the extra. It was the extra thing because I went to my dad and I'm like, hey, like I'm starting this thing called Talkies, and I was with him and his buddy who was a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you can't call it Talkies. That's too simple. Like, if you're ever gonna trademark that, like, what are you gonna do? Like, Talkies is already something. And then my dad was just like, why don't you just add network to it? You're a network now.
Because you always call it, whenever we're talking about it, you always call it Talkies. Whenever
Yeah.
I talk about it, like with my girlfriend, I always say Talkies Network. I make sure to add
I'll,
the network.
I always say Talkies because A, it's easier.
Yeah.
And I mean, what do you got? I know you're thinking of something.
Well, because
I see those eyes.
my thing with the word with the title is that I've never seen people use that word. So in my head, I was like, okay, it's an old like film term talking about movies. Why not? However, I never liked the second word added to it. Like network was the best of the worst choices. Like
I think at one point I wanted to call it a syndicate.
yeah, that was the
Jeez.
worst one. Talkies
That was by
Syndicate.
far the worst one.
Because here's the thing. For people that don't know this, when you're making a website, you have to settle on a domain, like a URL, and then in order to change that URL, you have to pay for a whole new thing. So your URL is very important. So when we were deciding on the thing, we're like, okay, we need to figure out exactly what's going to go here because we were upgrading. Well, we weren't there yet, but we were at the plan of WordPress that allowed us that it still had .wordpress.com at the very end of the thing, but the beginning part you can't change that. Like I don't think we can change that to this day. I think all we can do is add a domain to it that we already own. So I would love to have the site just be called www.talkies.com. I think that would be short, perfect. And I think it'll probably be easier for people to search up
Mhm.
because
Probably.
I think so. Because like if you type in talkies, you still get a lot of like Wikipedia pages about like 1920s like movies that just came out with sound. But then adding the network, I don't think people will actually type that in. Like how often do you type in network on Google? Like
As
just in
soon as you
general.
type in Talkies, network pops up now.
Well, that's you because it's your search engine.
No. I keep trying it at different malls. I'm always curious to see how it reacts on a computer I've never used. So every now and again, I'll go into the Microsoft store and try a different laptop, and I'm like, hey, look, we pop up.
So
But
that's the name.
that's
That's the
okay, yeah,
name.
because the name is like it. Because the thing, it was very much like we brought JJ in.
Mhm.
He was designing stuff for us, and then we were like, okay, this is kind of real, so we need a name for it. Like, and they weren't going to use my name
No,
because it
the
sucked.
syndicate's dumb.
No, not Syndicate, Cinematic World. Like,
Oh yeah, like I remember there was early conversations about like, oh, why don't you just start posting on my site? Like, just like we
because
don't
I
have to create a new
changed the
site and new
domain.
concept. Yeah, I remember.
But
And
he's like,
then
start fresh, burn
I
it.
was like, I rather start with something completely new
Mhm.
than to use something that not all of us like. And by not all of us, I mean I hated it personally. Uh, JJ was indifferent, but he's the one that clicked the delete button. All I'm gonna say, like that final moment where we're like deleting the site, that was all JJ. I was far and away from that. So, Nick, I think you've gone like the most, I think, out of this in terms of like the new site because he writes incredibly quick. Like he writes articles faster than you know anyone else I know. Then
Probably
again,
a
I don't know that
symptom
many
of my
people that write
ADD.
articles. But I always felt like you could use structure. And that's what Nick's cinematic world was missing. And that's kind of what Talkies Network is kind of missing now. Like I feel like there's still a lot of cleanup we could do
Mhm.
on the site, especially with, Sam's help.
That's what this is. It's a tease for the future.
Yeah, like when I jumped in, which was I think it was last December, right?
You jumped in last December because I sent you to a press screening in January.
Yeah,
That
that's right. I remember my first one. It was the kid who would be king, about like
it was
King Arthur.
it was the first press screening of the year, and we sent Sam to it.
But I
Sam was
remember
like,
I remember seeing an ad, or yeah, it was an ad technically, like a post that you made on your Facebook because we were friends on Facebook, saying that you were looking for
okay.
writers.
Yeah, I remember this now. Sorry, I don't mean to interject, but here's how I viewed this.
Mhm.
Okay, Sam and I took Economics 100 together into the summer of 2015. After that, I didn't see this kid for 2 years, I would say. But
2016, actually. 2016.
2016,
Yeah.
you're right, absolutely. Summer of 2016.
Yeah.
Sam messaged me in December of 2018, like saying just super casual, hey buddy, how's it going? Hope you're all good. I see you're looking for writers. I'd be totally down. And I go to my girlfriend and I'm like, I don't think I've heard from this kid in 2 years.
That's why I prefaced everything with I don't know if you remember me.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, and I'm thinking back and I'm like, oh my God, that's right. I procrastinated with this kid in like Eco 100. Like, I was like, this is insane. And then I remember meeting up with you at Brennan and we were just catching up on like
Dude,
two
we went
years
to
worth of.
the New Yorker deli
Oh,
on
dude, it was
Bay.
actually so good with JJ.
Me, you, and JJ, yeah. And
Holy.
that was my first time. It was like a job interview almost.
Yeah, he comes in. I'm in sweats, right, and a sweater. JJ's in his like gray coat, and he comes in the night like nice jeans, like a bag and a nice shirt. And here's I go to Jay, I'm like, son of a bitch, he's taking this seriously. Crap. And I'm like, oh man. And then he comes in, he's like, how you doing, guys? And I'm like, oh dude.
Dude, I
Wait,
remember I was on it too.
I was like, you look so good. Like,
was
here's
Sam
me.
our first like writer outside of us three,
No,
No.
it's
or was
Brand.
it Matthew? Brian doesn't count.
No,
Brian
you
doesn't count.
had Marie
Brand,
Rose as well.
no, technically Sam is the one of the most recent
Yeah,
Okay,
technically.
okay, okay.
because it was Pran. Which
Okay,
I won't
so
get into.
okay, well, I kind of do. So this is a podcast about Talkies Network, and I want to spill a little bit of the tea here.
Are you
So
sure? I'm
we're
like,
we're no, because here's the thing: is we're legitimate because we got to fire somebody, and it was to me it was like a groundbreaking moment in our business because you only have so many of those kind of milestones, like creating the site, that was a big milestone. Creating, just conceptualizing a name, that was a big milestone. The first time we ever surpassed like 50,000 views in a day, like that was a milestone. Getting to fire somebody, that's another milestone. It was like the first time that it felt legit, like because we also assorted titles for each other in the very beginning, because if we're gonna be professional, we have to appear professional.
Yeah.
Even though this started off mainly as I think Nick will agree to this. It started off as just like, hey, I don't know what I want to do after university. You don't know either. So like, let's just do what we like, and
Maybe
put
it'll
it up
work
on
out one day.
hopefully. I still very much believe that the site is getting better and will be better every year that it passes on. So,
Okay, here's the thing. Our titles worked out in a way where it was like I was named editor-in-chief because I think I just did the most writing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, no, you
and
did.
so I was just kind of doing, like, not doing the most. It was just like I was just writing quite a bit. So I was just on the site every
Still
day.
do.
JJ
You still does
likes writing long pieces and he likes editing. So I made him a senior editor,
Mm-hmm.
right? So because he likes to take his time, he likes to really think his pieces out, he likes to review stuff, no problem, senior. Artur, we made the managing editor because while Artur, let's say, doesn't like to write as much, he is very much hands-on with every decision that is made through the site, especially behind the scenes. So he's very much the manager of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And no decision is made, let's say, without him, even though he doesn't write every day, right? Like, after that, like we brought in Pran because we needed somebody to review Infinity War and go to a press screening.
because I think all of
Pran's
us had
title,
class that day.
pardon?
We all had lecture the
No,
day that the screener was up.
we all okay. I know this is like the history, but we're kind of jumping it around just in this discussion. In April of 2018, we applied for press screenings,
Mm-hmm.
and Disney was the first one to get back to us and invited us to Infinity War.
Nice.
But we all had a final exam on, I'll never forget it, April 24th, 2018, because it was 3 days before the screening, like it went worldwide on Friday. So this was a Tuesday. I had strategy, Artur had a philosophy thing, and JJ had an English exam. And so we all couldn't go. The screening was at 10 a.m. So we brought in Pran, but we didn't know what title to give him either. But so he goes, well, what about lead writer? And I'm like, that makes sense, I guess. Pran kind of like takes the lead on all his posts. He likes to just he very much thinks like, especially the culture posts that he wrote,
Mm-hmm.
like about Toronto and about fashion, like history. So I was like, cool, lead writer. When came in, that's when we made the contributing writer title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we had no idea about what he was going to do either. Same for Matthew out in Miami. Hi, Matthew. I love
That
that
guy's a
kid.
legend, by the way. Shout out
Guy's
to
a
Matthew.
friggin' legend.
Yeah.
Wall to wall. We have a writer in Miami.
I've never met him, but I want to get him on this because I want to meet him.
I will absolutely, like, he's out in Boston right now.
Yeah.
Like for his masters, like that kid is ridiculously smart. Like,
Well, because that's what I was gonna say is like we have a foundation that is awkwardly stable. Like it shouldn't be. Like
Mm-hmm.
a guy out living in Miami, a guy living out in Toronto are kept us afloat for months of content. And much of the pieces you guys written, I believe, have generated the most amount of views on the site.
you know,
So-
every time I send that guy a post through Twitter, all he says is either got it, on it, or yes, sir.
I love it.
I don't need every now and again I'll tell him like, thank you so much, you're amazing. And he's just like, dude, like this has been a great opportunity. But every time I send him the post, I always say, I'm like, hey Matthew, can you cover this? Because he's doing his masters, right?
Yeah.
So I'll always say, like, hey man, like, are you able? Always on it. And then the post will go up like 20 minutes later. And I'm like, look how simple this is. Like, this guy's just ridiculous. But he was writer 5. It was Pran. Cut that. Then Matthew, then technically JJ's friend Adam, who came in because he wanted to write reviews and Star Wars pieces. Then Mary Rose, because she wanted to do a lot of then Nas because he wanted to do gaming stuff. Mary Rose, because she wanted to do more social media stuff like Instagram, as well as like editorials and reviews.
Her
and then
articles
Sam.
are good though. Her writing's really good.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's honestly, I would say, probably the strongest writer because she studies English. It's her and JJ. They're probably the most refined.
I remember talking to you being like, yeah, that Marie Rose, like she writes very well. Like I didn't read many of the articles, but I read some of hers.
Yeah.
And they're really clear.
Eventually, we're gonna get them. We're gonna get everybody on the podcast, I guess, like because I kind of want to run through everybody,
100%.
like whatever the topic is, whoever's like best suited. Now that we can
Yeah.
do this on Skype, we do have another writer named Zane. I don't know, Artur, if you remember that guy. He's really cool.
Yeah,
he's but his pieces are way more like essay based, like history stuff.
Mhm.
Like so he's working on one right now, and he
He's
goes,
into film history. That's why.
yeah, big time.
Mhm.
And then we fired a guy. So that was pretty sick. Yeah, you're right, Artur. Big history.
Okay, but to be fair, he was always a nice guy.
I never
Cool.
take that away from yeah, no, I won't.
No. Like, firing someone doesn't mean they're a bad person. It
No.
just means that we are trying to take this somewhat seriously now.
Yeah.
So
And you have responsibilities that need to be met.
yeah,
And it's fine. It's totally okay.
yeah.
It's
Just
better
don't
now.
ghost us.
Just don't ghost.
Yeah.
That's just like one rule. It's just the one thing you need on these things. Because the thing is a site like this, right? Like even when we first started out, my main rule I told JJ and Arturo was I cannot be stressed by this site. Like no matter how far it goes, I mean, because eventually everybody's going to feel some kind of stress, but I do not want to be freaking out over anything that has to go with this site. This site is meant to be a platform where you can just write your stuff. And yeah, because we took on news, yeah, obviously it's become quote unquote more stressful, but not in the way where I'm always like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. Like, what are we going to do if we don't get this post out? Who cares? Okay. Like, so what if one post doesn't go out? I just don't want to be stressed like that.
Well,
so if you're writing a review and you can't get it out in time, just say something.
Yeah.
Obviously, in certain circumstances, deadlines have to be met. And I think everybody who currently works for the site understands that, right? So it's like, if you can't get something out, just say it, and we'll always work around it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah,
like,
you've always been good for that.
It's simple.
Yeah.
We kill the Batman. No, I'm being serious. It's so easy it's not easy to do something like this, but it's easy to just say like, okay, today I'm going to write a review, or hey, I have a press screen. You want to go to it? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because the thing is we're going to these things for free. Around 2018, when everything became more serious, where we were pumping out content constantly, like our tour was like, why don't we do more? I'm like, yeah, why not? Who cares? Like, why not? Why don't we do more? Because we just wanted to see more movies and more TV shows. Like, we just wanted to watch and read more comics. JJ especially. Like, he was just like, if I could read comics for free, like, yeah, if I could watch a movie for free, like, I'll absolutely, because we were already writing reviews at that point. Like, well, we started out with reviews. News came later. But it was just like Disney came first, then Netflix, then Warner Brothers, then Universal, then Fox, Amazon, Marvel, Image Comics. Like, they all just started coming in. And obviously it's kind of a lot, which is why you get more of your friends. But we get to watch movies for free. And that's the sickest thing ever. We get free tickets to TIFF.
But that's
I wanted to talk about TIFF actually a little bit.
Okay.
TIFF 19 was depressing as hell. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, what about it? Can you elaborate on that?
Okay. It was ridiculously depressing. Like, not in a bad way. TIFF, if you're listening to this, we had a great time, mostly.
Yeah. Please send us there again next year.
Please send us there again next year. If you're listening, you're not. It's fine. But our tour, because Sam, you weren't there for last year's TIFF, right? That was September.
Yeah.
Last year's TIFF, I didn't think was as depressing. Like, and depressing in the sense where it was like, the films that we all saw this year were just gut-wrenching. Like, honestly, Sam, so Sam, you went to go see Jojo Rabbit and Ford v Ferrari, right?
I saw Jojo Rabbit, Ford v Ferrari, and then Jungle Land, yeah.
Right. Okay. So Jojo Rabbit probably wasn't sad, like, but still in a way.
It was a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, dealing with Nazi Germany subject matter, okay?
Yeah, but in
Ford v Ferrari was probably, I would honestly say, the only film that didn't deal with some gut-wrenching material.
Oh, it was awesome. It was exhilarating. It was just about the cars. It was like what the Fast and the Furious movies should have been.
Like, that's what they want to be.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. But Jungle Land, Sam, let's start with you. Jungle Land, right?
Yeah.
Probably a pretty sad story about two brothers just trying to make it through the boxing world.
Man, so when people left the theater, Jungle, that's what it was. It was about like two brothers starring Charlie Hunnam and Jack O'Connell.
Jack O'Connell?
Yeah, Jack O'Connell. And he's like an underground boxer, and his brother's his manager, but he's also kind of like a doofus. And so they're getting into trouble with like some like low-level mob guys. So what they have to do is they have to go across the country to fight at this place called Jungle Land for a cash prize and getting them out of poverty or whatever. And it was okay. A lot of people outside of the movie, like leaving the theater, were talking about how it seemed like a 1990s Miramax film, and it really did have that sort of feel. You know, like when you watch Pulp Fiction, it has like a sort of feel, and I don't mean that just because it's Tarantino, but just because it's like in the 90s. It has that like. The way I like to put it is like it's an indie movie with like a bigger budget almost.
Right.
But this wasn't even that. It was kind of indie. It was like 90s, and not to get like too obscure, but it just seemed too derivative of everything else that came before. And it's not their fault, because afterwards when we did the Q&A screening, the director, I forget his name, said that they had been working on that script for like 11 years. So in that time, so many other movies came out of that subject matter that it just like it wasn't even their fault that it seemed like a little unoriginal.
Right.
Yeah, it was okay though. It wasn't like the best. I think I gave it like a 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just found this year like I didn't find it like the movies I saw I thought were all fantastic. But
Yeah.
I don't think I came out feeling good for any of them.
What did you
Like
see?
I saw okay, the first one I saw was A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which was the Tom Hanks Mr. Rogers movie, which is like wall to wall fantastic.
Mhm.
Like I loved every single minute of it, but you come out of that screening and you just want to give like your dad a hug. Like because it's mostly because the best part about this movie is about Rogers. Uh he's the supporting character in it. He's not the main character. The movie plays out like an episode of you know, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but it's really about this journalist who has a crumbling relationship with his family and his father, right? And it's Rogers putting this family back together, which
Was it
is
based on real events that happened?
entirely a true story.
Okay.
100%. This happened. And you can read the article too. It's online from Esquire,
Mhm.
right? And it's great, but okay, first one, super bummed out again. Had to go home, give my dad a hug. Okay. Second one, Joker. That one's just uncomfortable, miserable. Probably my favorite movie of the year. But still, you come out of that movie and nothing about what you feel is good. You feel like the world around you is a mess. You wonder how you could have helped this guy. And it's very like reminiscent of like Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. And
So did they have? Sorry to cut you off, but did Scorsese and De Niro have anything to do with Joker?
Scorsese was an early producer on the Joker, but left uh, before production started. But before he left the film in the care of his like go-to producing partner.
Mm-hmm.
It's Emma Tillinger Kaskov, I think is her name. If it's not, look it up. It's on the Wikipedia page. But I think that's her name. She produced it, but she was also a producer on, I think, The Departed and The Wolf of Wall Street. So she's very much in Scorsese's like let's say inner circle.
Yeah.
So you definitely get that feel from her. But the director Todd Phillips actually said, he goes like it was very much based on Taxi Driver, on The King of Comedy with DC Comics characters. But this film, it kind of like it takes it one step further in the sense where you mentioned De Niro. De Niro's in the film because his character is a direct inspiration from Jerry Lewis's character in The King of Comedy.
What is it like? Something Pumpkin or something?
His character in his name is Rupert Pumpkin.
Rupert Pumpkin, yeah.
So in this one, he's not the deranged, Rupert Pumpkin. He's the talk show host who the character is obsessed with, right? So very much like you can tell this guy, but it's not like The King of Comedy where the guy just keeps going after him saying like, hey, I'm like obsessed with you. It's more like the opening 10 minutes of Joker has Joaquin Phoenix's character, Arthur Fleck, like looking up to De Niro's talk show host character as like a father figure, being like, I just like he actually kind of like insinuates like I just wish I had a father like you. In like one of his like fantasies, De Niro's character says like I wish I had a son like you. And so you kind of feel bad for this guy, but after that, there's such a darkness to him that you're just like there is no going back for him. He's too far gone. You can't support him anymore. Like I mean, Artur, we saw this one together like later in October.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
What'd you
So
think?
yeah, so my take on the Joker is that like I watched it, loved it.
Mhm.
Then I rewatched Taxi Driver just to get my head on straight. Then I rewatched The Joker, and I realized it's kind of beat for beat that movie.
it
Uh,
is.
it very much is. However, The Joker is able to do something that I didn't actually think they could actually pull off. But it's all down to Joaquin Phoenix. Like it's the script to me in that movie doesn't
Fine.
necessarily matter. Um, but his performance, there's no one that motivates him. There's no motivation for him to become bad. A Taxi Driver, Scorsese appears in the movie and he's like, "Hey man, you should go kill people," and he's like, "Okay." So in the movie, there's that push for them. In this one, it's there's no reason for him to actually become. Well, there's no pushing reason for him to become.
It's not a push. The world around him
You
is
could say
going crazy,
push
and
them.
I guess that's his push. But I mean, the movie is essentially like nobody cares about this guy.
Yeah.
His life is miserable.
Mhm.
And I mean, even De Niro's character calls him out later in the movie, saying, like, there's a lot of self pity with you. And in that regard, you can kind of be like, yeah, you're right. You could technically rise above it, but you're not. You are just giving in to the madness, right? It's just whatever's around you, you're just taking it all in. You don't have to do that.
Mhm.
You could somehow, but there is no going back for this guy. Like,
One of the last things I want to say just about the Joker is what it says about mental health and the way we approach people with mental health in the society. I think the movie fucking like nail on the head, like perfectly,
yeah,
because
but
everyone
it's not
dismisses
subtle.
him. No one cares for him. Funding of like that keeps him like that's the thing. What holds him down to reality is the fact that he can go to these meetings with it seems like a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a therapist or something, someone from
A
to
social
talk to,
worker.
a social worker, because you can see that he struggles to verbalize what he's feeling. So a lot of it is internalized, and then the only time that we see it come out is when he kills those three people. And
Spoilers, I guess. I don't know. It's been a
everyone's
month.
watched this movie.
It's been a
If
month.
you have
Yeah.
not watched this movie, I will spoil it all for you. I don't care. Uh, all the deaths in the movie that he commits, all of them, all of them are like not that they're just real, but like they get him to one step closer to becoming the Joker. Like killing those first three, I think kids or young adults. It's first people kind of said, "Oh, it's self defense. He didn't mean to do
The
it."
first two, maybe.
First, maybe
The
the first
first
one,
two. The
first one,
first one.
the
The
first
third
one.
guy,
The
he
yeah,
coldly executes.
Man,
yeah.
I'm
Like,
laughing right now because you guys are basically just like saying the whole movie.
oh, I don't.
But no, but it's true.
The
He
movie's so good.
coldly.
Just yeah, and then his mom and whatever. I will just say this last point, and then I kind of want to move on from the Joker.
Yeah.
The way Thomas Wayne punches him in the fucking nose,
Loved it.
that is the best scene. It's just like it's like I never pictured Thomas Wayne like that in my head ever while reading or watching anything to do with Batman. So the fact that they have this completely different role for him in the movie, I thought was very interesting. So by the way, Tiff, when you guys are talking about the movie that I went to go watch, Tiff was Weathering with You. It's an animated movie. I can't pronounce any of the Japanese names, so I'm gonna stick to just references. The director of Your Name directed this one, and that movie was also pretty. Nick, you're kind of right. It was pretty sad. Like it's about a girl who can manipulate the weather, and an orphan boy that she pairs up with, and they kind of create a business of like, oh, you want to go out on a picnic, but it's bad weather. If you pay me like a certain amount of money, I'll clear the weather for you. And it becomes an actual business for them. But then they kind of have to go on the run because they're both orphans without any kind of guardianship. And ultimately, this I won't spoil because this is a movie that I don't think a lot of people have watched. So I don't want to give away plot details, but it's like the ending. It tugs at your heartstrings, not in a sad way, but more of like I could relate to this. Like
it's probably a little bit sobering.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah,
because the kids go through hardships that you're like, children should never have to go through that. Like that's it. I don't know. Eye opening, I think is the term I want to use. Yeah, that was Tiff.
Hold on, one more. Sorry.
One more. Okay, one more.
Honey Boy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We watched that together.
Our tour and I went to the premiere for Honey Boy with Shia LaBeouf was there, the director was there, the rest of the cast was there. And personally, the only thing I knew about this movie was Shia LaBeouf wrote a film about his childhood and he plays his dad. And it's not like he's named Shia in the movie or something, let's say, but it's very much based on how he grew up from childhood to, I would say, Transformers. That's the time span.
Okay.
Yeah. Because Transformers, I think, was around the time where he got his PTSD. And it's when he was first arrested, let's say, in real life. But so Artur and I sat in the theater and we watched this movie. And I just remember him looking at me just being like, holy shit. Because it's such a gut punch. And it's just, you're watching this movie and it's very much Shia just trying to make sense of his life. Like, he knows he's messed up. He knows he has messed up in his life. And it's not even like he's fully blaming his dad, let's say, because he said in the Q&A, like, he got his dad to watch the movie. And he goes, his dad.
Before everyone.
Before he was like the first guy to watch it. So it's not like Shia being like, oh, it's all my dad's fault for my reason. It's him just trying to make sense of his whole life. And it's heartbreaking. Like watching this kid grow up like this.
We come from a generation where we see Shia LaBeouf as an actor that we grew up with. Like, I remember watching him in Even Stevens, Bulls. And the thing is, you also get little like Easter eggs in the movie of like he wears like the same shirt like earlier on that he wears in Even Stevens, and you can see the parallels, which is kind of cool. But where the movie takes it to another level, and this is, I think we give credit to the director here. Anyone that has ever had, also check her Twitter. She's very active on there, and it's
Twitter page.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
But anyone that has ever had to experience a family member dealing with alcoholism, this movie is hyper realistic in a sense. And
because the director said she experienced this too. That's why like she worked with Shia on this. They both grew up with dads like this. Right. And I think it's different for Shia. I don't know if Alma said it, but Shia's relationship with his dad is clearly better now. Yeah. Right. I mean, I guess it's better by the end of the film.
Well, that's the thing. Like in towards one of the ending scenes in the movie is the character of Shia LaBeouf coming to see his dad at the very end of it all, and when you see them, and you see them share a touching moment with each other, and that's where the movie kind of becomes not depressive anymore. Now it becomes somewhat sadly hopeful. But
I'm glad
you're right.
It did.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Why it ends with him and his dad.
That's why Tiff had an overall, I would say, bleak tone.
Yeah.
But I every movie I think out of everyone in the staff here at Talkies, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we all enjoyed every movie we went to go watch and Tiff.
Okay, so hold on. No, not me, but and I think it happened last year too, where we always have one negative review.
Okay.
This year it was JJ.
Oh no.
So JJ saw first he saw Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler.
Okay.
which he was very close to giving it a perfect score, a 10 out of 10.
Everyone was saying that.
Adam Sandler movie doing well.
It was serious though. It was a serious part.
Yeah, Sam's right. He's probably going to get an Oscar for this.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Honestly, more comedians need to be. Side note: more comedians need to be coming into more serious roles.
Dude, we
Like
talked
John
about this with
Krasinski.
Steve Carell.
Oh
Right?
yeah, like Steve Carell, John Krasinski.
Dave Chappelle in A Star Is Born.
Exactly. I think that's the thing. Like I
love that movie.
It's fine.
Okay, but sorry. JJ saw Lucy in the Sky with Natalie Portman,
Oh yeah.
which he hated.
Yeah.
Like, he goes, Nick, it was just sad and boring.
The 2 cents of a movie.
Yeah.
Like
But
if
that was
it's
the only
sad,
one.
it's fine.
Do you-
But if it's
do you
sad
guys-
and boring,
Do you guys remember the movie? I think it was called Carol.
I liked Carol.
Yes.
My
With
my
Kate
brother
Blanchett.
said my brother said he saw it and he's like, yeah, it's just sad people looking out windows.
Yeah, literally. No, that's just it's just all gazing off into the distance, being like, wow, let me think about things. But I like that movie. But I mean, I don't know. I guess you're right. It was a bleak feel this year.
Well, you said that. I
Overall.
didn't say anything like that.
Yeah, you lucked out. You saw Jojo Rabbit and Ford v Ferrari first, and so he's coming to me like, dude, I'm having a great time.
I'm having a
And
great day.
And I'm coming out of a beautiful day in the neighborhood being like, I need to go see somebody I love.
Hug my dad.
Yeah, I gotta go hug my dad. I gotta go tell him everything's gonna be okay. Like, I'm like, we'll be okay when we're older. Like,
So, yeah, that was TIFF. TIFF was we're always excited, to do TIFF because it is the biggest thing based in Toronto, film related, that we could possibly cover.
Mhm.
And that's
stay tuned
that's
for
another
when
thing
we go
about
broke for the next film festivals.
well, that's the thing that I want to get across is
When
that
it can.
Talkies is very much Toronto based. Like,
Yeah.
we want to represent Toronto, or at least the GTA, in a very respectable fashion.
Dude, I'd
Because
be
well,
careful.
I'm based out of Maple. Huh?
I'd be careful saying that because we don't actually cover a lot of like the local Toronto because we have a huge film scene
Let's
that
start.
we
That's
don't
the thing.
touch.
Well, the thing with like films like that
Mhm.
is, that's gonna be upsetting to say, you need things that generate views. If you're in
Yeah.
a site and you're looking at your only mode of revenue being advertisements, you need people to click on your stuff. Now, we have a very strict policy on the site that we don't clickbait.
Mhm.
Like, try as hard as you might, and I'll hold my hands up to this. If you go on the site and you try to find a clickbaity title, or like a clickbaity article, like trust me, you're not gonna find it.
We have one.
So,
Which one?
Which one?
It's not clickbaity, but I know what I was doing when I wrote the title because
Okay,
it
tell
was
me.
way early in 2018 or maybe late 2017, and it goes, Hugh Jackman discusses Wolverine in
Oh,
the MCU. And so at least 4 or 5 comments we got on that post were, well, you're saying Hugh Jackman's coming to the MCU. I'm like, no. I'm saying Hugh Jackman is discussing Wolverine's entrance into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I never said he was discussing his own. So technically, that might be the.
We'll give that one a pass.
But I'd give myself a pass.
That's a pass, yeah.
Like,
That's
other
not
than
that
that,
bad.
it's the
Like,
one rule we have. And look, you see like these sites like comicbook.com, Heroic Hollywood, who comic book resources, even Screen Rant to an extent.
To an extent, Screen Rant is the most. I'm sorry, I don't even get heated right now, but
Probably the worst.
Screen Rant, YouTube, especially YouTube, it is the most clickbaity stuff. Like, they'll post the same title, okay? Top 10 most shocking moments in whatever movie, but they'll have that for like 4 different videos that are just released months apart.
Well,
and you're like, it can't be the top 10 most shocking if it's the 4th video. It's
right.
Top 40. So I have a problem with that. But
well, it's like comicbook.com taking one Variety.com article
That's true.
and splitting it into 10 different pieces.
Mm.
And you're like, why would you do that? Like, but the thing is obviously they have a huge following, and in my head I'm like, I'd rather have a smaller following than like, and post one article that says Andy Serkis discusses Venom 2 versus Andy Serkis discusses this, Andy Serkis discusses that, and they all link back to the same Deadline article.
Yeah.
That's nonsense to me.
Yeah, because
Why am I going to click 20 times? 20 views, I guess. No. That's nonsense to me. Like,
and I get it. It's a lot of those people have to, you know, they have to pay paychecks to God knows how many people.
Yeah, we don't pay people. We got to pay people.
No. Okay.
Sorry, Sam.
Sorry, yeah, Sam gets it. The idea is that like
I saw the numbers. Okay, I know.
he like I
Sorry,
took
Sam.
Sam's full walkthrough of the amount of money we've made on the site for 3 years
Oh,
worth.
all minimal.
Yeah, I saw the numbers. It's nothing to worry about. I'm not complaining.
Sam's like, I'm not gonna say anything. I guess you guys are poor.
You know what? I'll wait a couple of years before I'm knocking on doors asking for
Trying
checks.
to collect that check.
Retroactively start paying people, like hiring an accountant to be like, okay, since they started, what should have we paid them?
I bet you couldn't even quantify it, man.
Because there's no way we can.
That's Sam's backhanded compliment to me.
Single page that they.
No,
I'm kidding.
Like
nothing mean, but the hours that you put in, right, to the articles.
Yeah.
Not me personally. I never take more than that's actually a lie. On my articles, I've tried to do a good job at like doing at least like half a day work of writing and editing. I'm also slow, so.
You're all slow.
Yeah, not slower than I am. But that's I think that's the motivation of the site, is to supply content that not only could everybody write, like anyone who sees this podcast, you're more than welcome to come and write for us, and you know, improve your writing and, you know, get your work out there, because that's honestly that's something that we didn't touch on about conceptualizing the site.
Well, here's especially for people in Toronto. Like, we have the opportunities here in Toronto for premieres, for press screenings, for every major studio, except for Sony. So Sony, if you're listening to this, which you're not, but if you are, I'm just not going to get into it. Just answer my emails.
Dude, Tarantino's done anyway. He only has maybe one more movie, so
Okay.
Until Spider-Man goes back to Disney permanently, I need Sony.
That's true. That's very true. But that's the thing. Like we want to be able to not only showcase our work, but we want to be able to have a platform where anyone can showcase their work.
Suicide Squad.
You know, if my articles can make the site, then everyone.
Anybody can make the site.
See, that's something that people don't take into consideration, is that you can put out anything onto the internet. Mm-hmm. Now, then it becomes the internet's job whether they like you or not. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people already have that fear of, well, I'm not going to put anything out there because, one, where would I put it? Two, no one's even going to search it up. So, like, what's the point? Well, the point is you need to refine your craft. Like, you can't just expect to go from, like, you know, like, you can't just have that exponential growth out of nowhere. You need a base. And I think that's where the site kind of got its main idea from. Because when we started bringing in writers, yes, it's, you know, to fill the site with more content, because we need content theoretically uploaded daily to the site. But we just want people to write.
Okay, and with that, I just want to ask, where do you guys see like the website or the Talkies Network brand going? Like, what are your goals for it moving forward? We talked about coming to this point. Now, where do you want to see it going forward as we start with the like revamping of the website and doing the podcasts? Like, where do you want to see it go?
Okay,
Artur, do you want to answer this, or would you like me to answer?
I'm gonna briefly answer this, and I'm gonna let you take it. Artur, do you remember back in, maybe it was third year, Pran wrote an article about us in the Mic, me, you, and JJ. Right. Do you remember what we answered when he asked that question? That silence
I
is your
don't.
answer.
I
Um,
don't.
I remember saying I want to make a movie. Uh, and that's kind of still my end goal. Obviously, I'd like Talkies theoretically to take off. We have a group of writers. We have an office. Everybody's writing for us. We're all going to press screenings. We're all going to film festivals. We're covering the entertainment world in a non-clickbait way, interviewing people, giving people a platform to like minorities, let's say, right? Women, people of color. It doesn't matter. If you have something to say, who cares? Like, you're going to write. You're going to say what you want to say. I personally want to make a movie,
Mhm.
and I hope I can do that through Talkies.
That's fair.
Like,
Well,
because
you're talking to the right guy here.
my whole idea was Artur directs, I produce, and JJ writes. That was the three
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
Artur has that eye, JJ is super refined, and I could just put it all into place. But now we have a whole team, and we have a whole team of people who like have such different talents. Like Sam is great at marketing. Mary Rose is really good at social media stuff. Pran has so many friggin' connections in the culture world, right?
Literally.
Like it's insane. Matthew out in friggin' Boston, like, and in Miami. What a kid.
The
What a
shout
guy.
outs, man.
It's
Yeah.
just, but that's the thing, right? When we looked at this, none of us, I think, understood if it could
The scope.
grow
Hmm.
the scope. It only really came into play in April of 2018 when Disney emailed us saying you're in review. And that was it. And I was just like, my God, are they gonna kill us? Like, what does that mean? Like, and then we got the call and then we invited Pran. So I mean, I hope we can grow into a legitimate business one day. Artur, I know you want to grow YouTube mostly as well.
Yeah, because where I want the site or the brand, let's call it the brand, because it's not
We're
just
a
going to be the
brand.
site. Hopefully,
We're
We
a
are.
hopefully
brand.
in the hopefully in the future we're not just a website. Like we're much more than that.
Hmm.
Um, it's difficult because I want this to grow to a point where, and now this is going to sound super lame and boring. I want to get to a point where I can pay all my writers a fair amount,
Yes.
pay myself
Not too much.
not too much, not too much.
Just fair.
I want to be able to pay myself a salary that allows me to live comfortably, and maybe a vacation once a year. So I want this to be a full time job. Like that is my hope for the future of the site, for it to be my full time job. Because I've I've like said multiple times that like, oh, I want to write this, or I want to write that. But the problem is like when it comes down to the brass and tacks of it, I don't want to write. Like because
Yeah.
I'm like I feel guilty spending time writing for the site when I know I'm still in school, or like while I know or whatever else is going on. So just to give you a little bit of an example, my girlfriend, she's thinking about where she's going to go after U of T, and it's most likely going to be college because she's doing vet tech. And there was like an there was a there was a possibility that she could potentially go away and go somewhere further up north to go to a school there.
Hmm.
And then I was thinking, I was like, not that I would move in with her because Jesus, we're 22. Um, but I was like, could I theoretically, live there and still, do full time on the site?
Hmm.
And I found myself kind of attracted to the idea of this being my job because I don't like my part time job that I am now, nor have I liked the other four that I have already been employed at. So I guess Nick is completely right. Like if we're able, like if we had an office, we come into work, we're like, guys, what are we gonna write about today? Well, we have this, and this lined up. We're waiting on emails from Disney. We're waiting on emails from Warner Brothers, seeing if we got our invitations. We do. Great. All right, let's work on some social media posts. Once that's done, me and Sam go off to whatever, shoot a podcast, upload it to the site. Like that's how I want this to become a routine. I think
Hmm.
that's the best way of saying it because that's where I want to. That's how I want to grow the site because like I don't like the content that's out there. Go on the internet and search up stuff on Twitter or on Google, and it's kind of toxic. And like
Yeah.
I think Like it's unhealthy, I think, especially when you're going through like not to like, you know, drag this, like not to beat this dead horse, but anytime we talk about like The Last Jedi, Batman versus Superman, like you can't escape the toxicity of that fandom anymore. So if we can start our own little section, you know, that encourages positive writing, encourages non-clickbait stuff, and encourages the writings of multitudes of people. That's the thing. If we're in Toronto, we have the best access to the most different points of views in the world. I think there was like a census produced 2 years ago that said that Toronto, I think it's just behind New York. We have the most amount of languages spoken in our city than every other city in the world. So, like, the resource here is astoundingly high for us to use. So, I just want to take full advantage of that because, like, why wouldn't we? Like, what's stopping us?
Yeah.
Sam, what about you?
Viewership. Yeah, where do you want the site to be in or the Talkies Network brand?
Yeah, I'm the same with both of you. I like the idea of being able to wake up and do something that I love, something that you can maybe make a comfortable living out of. I was always attracted to the site because I know that there is a market for this. Obviously, you see the success of things like IGN, and I know that we could, with the resources that we have and the work ethic that we have, can grow it to new heights that maybe might get us to a place where we could actually start paying our writers and, you know.
Yeah, like that's something that I will be the biggest milestone I think will that we'll ever have. The first time we release paychecks to our writers, like
That's the moment.
that to me will be
That's when you made it.
Yeah, that's when you're like, we're legit. Because like you can appear professional all you want, but if the people that are working with you feel like they're also professional and know that they have like, you know, some kind of a security, I guess, in a job, like that speaks
If
volumes.
you could provide that to somebody.
Yeah, like
Just
because I don't know about you guys, but like I don't come from like a wealthy background of families. And especially with my family back in Brazil, there's a lot of people that are unemployed. But it's a lot of people that are smart. Like they're genuinely creative, but they have no outlet. They have nothing to go into. So being able to provide that for someone, you know, here is like I even
Around
thought
the world,
about
even.
yeah, like for example, like there was this is far back, but like I think a year into the website, one of my cousins from back home checked out our site and he's like, "Man, I love what you guys are doing. Like wouldn't it be amazing if we were able to get like a Portuguese version of the site going so that way people from South America could also engage with it?" Because as I'm learning, Brazil is the third biggest like contributor to not only YouTube but to the film industry right now in terms of economically. Just because there's such a massive population in there, like YouTube is like it's scary big in Brazil, and they make scary money, like too high for them to know what they wanted to do with. So like stuff like that always like appealed to me. Like, what happened if we could branch out the site into like a different language and have other teams of writers based in that country doing that, also getting paid? Like, because man, fuck Facebook and like Twitter and all these other things that are spread so globally wide that they just affect us negatively. Like,
Right.
like I even told Nick, like I wanted to be able. I don't know how to do this, so you know, maybe we need a web developer and some computer programmers. But I've always wanted to be able to open up the site so anyone could write an article. You didn't actually have to go through us first. Like it'd be kind of like not a forum, but
there's problems with that, right?
Oh, 100%. Like
Yeah.
trust me, the amount of vetting and like censorship that would have to be applied to it because you know people would take advantage of a platform like that.
Yeah.
But just imagine
It's called Reddit.
yeah, but Reddit's difficult because not only are you subjected to a particular restriction in a subreddit, you're also restricted what you're allowed to post.
That's true.
Like they'll, yeah, like I want people to people to promote their content, not promote their. Oh, well, I guess it's promoting their opinion, but like, yeah, like I want to be able to allow people to, have a voice, and that sounds cliche. So yeah, that to answer your question, that Nick, what do you type?
Oh, sorry, buddy. I was just actually responding to a Disney email.
There you go. See, you're not editor-in-chief. You do that. Why not?
Well,
was it that loud in the key in the typing? This laptop.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just replying. It's about Disney Plus.
All right. So
I think
I think we can call it there. Eh? We've been talking for 2 hours.
Holy crap! Oh
my god!
Cut it,
Sam. Once yeah, like there's a lot of ums and ahs and
no. But before this, I bet this was only like 45 minutes, or an hour. Like the first half of this call was just us.
I have 109 minutes here, 108 minutes on the recorded call.
Yeah,
what?
On the recording. Yeah, Nick, we talk a lot.
Yeah.
Holy.
But this is good. This was the first installment of our podcast.
So I hope the podcast we can get everybody on, talking about something.
Okay, so let's have a little closing off bit, and we can cut everything in between right now, and then we can close it from here on. So, Sam,
what do we call this?
Do you have I don't know.
The Talkies podcast for now.
Talkies Network podcast. Talkies podcast.
I say Talkies podcast.
Yeah, Talkies Netcast. If you want to be different and edgy.
Yo, Sam.
I kind of like it.
I kind of like that too. The Talkies Netcast.
So,
dude.
Retro.
Okay. I like that.
I'll work on it anyway.
Okay, so let's close this off in a way.
This is why I have Sam on the site. What a guy.
Stop on recording.
Yeah, good. Please hit stop. I've been Nick, the editor-in-chief.
I'm Nick. I'm Nick! I said I'm Nick!
Chrysler Tour.
I'm Artur, the managing editor.
And I'm Sam, and like I said, I'm here to have a good time. So
still here for a good time.
Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Love